I was very unhappy. I didn't feel comfortable with that. So I did have somebody in the comments maybe a month or two ago, and they asked me, they were a very smart question. Hello and welcome to the video. Look, I've tried to film this a few times and my hair keeps sticking up. It's really windy, so if my hair's sticking up, whatever, I want to make this video for you. So this video is all about why I live in a van. Now I'm going to break this down into two parts. The first part is why I decided to move into the van in the first place. And the second part is why 2.5 years later, I'm still living in the van and kind of how I'm living in the van, why I still want to do it. Okay, let's start with how I first came to the decision to live in my van and travel around Australia. So I was like most people, I was working a regular job. Actually, I was self-employed for probably, I think, the last 15 years. Before I moved into the van, I was self-employed. I had my own bookkeeping business. Apologise for the birds. I live in Australia and I'm in the country and there's birds. So I had my own bookkeeping business and I had a lot of clients, and look, I was making a lot of money, and I wasn't happy. I had a big house all on my own. It was 4-bedroom house all on my own, and I wasn't happy. And I realized I wasn't happy, and I knew that I didn't want to keep living like that, but it took me a couple of years to work out how I did want to live. The first thing I always knew was I wanted to sell the house. I was never happy in that house. I built a house everybody told me I should build for resale, but I was always alone in that house for 17 years. I lived alone in a 4-bedroom house. And I tell you what, it's lonely. It was just like big and empty. I used to like to hang out in my bedroom as much as possible. So yeah, I really didn't want to sell the house, but I didn't know what I wanted instead. So of course, as YouTube works, once you start looking at something, it starts showing you other things that are similar. So I had been looking at a lot of tiny homes and tiny houses, and then sure enough, all of a sudden van life pops up on my YouTube feed. So I start looking at all these people living in vans, and that was mostly the US and Canada. I don't think there were any from Australia at that time. We're going back probably 5 years now, 5 or 6 years. And there weren't any in Australia, but there was a lot in the US. But the thing, and I thought, oh, I could do that. And one of the things that I think Australians always say is, when I retire, I'm going to get a caravan and I'm going to go all around Australia. That's a really big thing here. And I always kind of thought I would do that. I would love to get a caravan and go all the way around Australia. First of all, I was a long way off from retirement. I was only about 55 at this point. So I was a long way off from retirement. And again, I don't know if I wanted to tow a caravan all on my own. I didn't feel comfortable with that. It felt a bit big and bulky, and I really didn't think I was something I'd be able to do on my own. So I was watching all of these van life videos, and all of them had really beautiful kitted out vans. Like, they were all like little mini homes inside. I know you've seen them, and if you've seen my van is not like that. So I built my van 100% myself. I really like it. I think it's homey. And I'll tell you where my inspiration came from, and I think a lot of you probably have seen this. It was from Van City Van Life, was from Chrome. And back then he had his dog Disco. So I started watching Chrome very early on, and he had fitted his van out with like plastic drawers like I have. And I actually started with more than he started with. He started with a lot less. I actually had walls and insulation and ceiling and everything. But he was the first one where I'm like, I can do that. I thought, I can do that. That seems doable for me. That seems reasonable. And once I found that I could do van life, I could do it simply, like Chrome had done it, then there was no stopping me. I'm like, yes, this is what I want to do. It felt so right from the beginning, so right. And it did take me 2 years to get the plan in place and to finally move into my van. I had to sell my house, had to buy the van, build the van out. I have done a video called Living the Dream that really goes into details about that. But here I want to share with you more my emotions and my feelings. So I did it. I finally moved into the van. So my reasons for moving into the van was that I was feeling really stressed. I was very unhappy. I was depressed. At the time, I didn't realize that I was depressed. I felt trapped. I felt really trapped in that house. And I really felt like I wasn't living. Life was just this, I felt like I was on this treadmill and I wanted to get off. I made a little video like, I want to get off. I've had enough. I don't want to do this anymore. And some people, like I could imagine now how some people would think that they want to kill themselves, because I didn't feel like I wanted to kill myself, but I'm like, I really can't do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. I really need to get off this treadmill, this, what do you call it? I need to get off. I can't keep going like this. So I move into the van. And initially, a lot of what I wanted to do, I did. I did lots of travel, did to lots of different places. I spent so much time in nature. I absolutely had a great time. And over the years, I think it took about the first 18 months, my anxiety decreased. I wasn't depressed anymore. I felt really happy. And I kind of thought, I do love this. I really love it. And yeah, it kind of filled its purpose at that point. I was a different person. I had a different mindset then. So it really filled its purpose about 18 months in. Now that I'm 2.5 years in, why am I still living in a van, and how do I feel about it now? And do I think I'm going to stop? So let me tell you why now, like especially, let's say this week, why I'm still living in my van. Let's talk about this week, this point in time. First of all, I can follow the nice weather. So I'm in Australia. I went to Tasmania for the summer, and now I'm into Queensland for the winter, and I can just pick my perfect temperature, which is around 23 degrees Celsius during the day, and preferably single digits at night. But I can pick my preferred temperature and I can hang out there, which is really nice. I don't have to do extreme hot or extreme cold. I won't lie, that is really, really nice. That is a huge factor for me, is just being able to constantly stay in good weather. The other reason I love it, especially like talking about now, is all the time I spend in nature. Civilization is very stressful. It's very busy, and I did realize I got sick a couple months ago, and I had started to spend a lot more time in civilization and not so much time in nature. And it really plays on me. It wears me down. I didn't realize it at the time, but in hindsight, I was going to more cities and towns, and yeah, I got worn out and I ended up getting sick. And so I do like to spend as much time as possible in nature. I like to be able to open my sliding door and there is just the world right there, like just trees and grass and lakes and water or ocean. So that's one of the biggest reasons now. I do feel if I could get like a little cottage in a big country area, like, no one else around, that I might be okay with. But at the moment, I'm not prepared to give up living in nature. It's too great. It's too good. It's too good for my mental health and my physical health. And that I'm not ready to give up just yet. All right. One of the biggest reasons that I am still doing this and still living in my van is that it gives me a lot of time to do what I want. Because I'm living cheaper than I was in a house, I'm only working part-time, and I don't have a house to clean or gardens to take care of, things like that. I have a lot of time to do what I want. And what I want is to be creative. So that's one thing that's come out of YouTube. One thing that's come out of van life is things like YouTube, making videos, and my art. My art has taken over. It's become an obsession. And you'll see a video in a couple of weeks about my artistic journey. I'm going to share it with you all about how it's progressed. And now it has become an obsession. I feel like I could just paint or draw or create 24 hours a day. When I wake up, it's the first thing I think about, and it's the last thing I'm doing before I go to sleep at night. And I'm like, I'm so tired, I need to go to sleep. So that's the biggest reason for me, is that I have time to be creative. I have time to create art. I have time to create videos. I have time to share this with you. My time is so valuable, and I'm not ready to give that up. So I did have somebody in the comments maybe a month or two ago, and they asked me, they were a very smart question, Brenna, do you do this now for the lifestyle or for the travel? And it's 100% the lifestyle. It is a lifestyle I'm not ready to give up in a hurry. It's very free. Like I said, I have a lot of time. I'm very creative. And I don't want to give that up. I am going to be doing a house sit later this year for 6 weeks, and it's going to be interesting to see how my creativity goes while I'm in the house. I know last year I did a house sit, and I found the longer it went, the less and less creative I felt. My creativity is coming from being in nature. It just inspires me. I don't know, there's something about being in nature that you can't replicate anywhere else. It's just amazing. And I guess if I couldn't live in my van, I would still strive as much as possible to get out in nature every day. Yeah, just to get the benefits from that. All right, that is why I live in a van. I don't know if you enjoyed this, if it was helpful. If you liked it, can you please give it a thumbs up? I just want to share with you my feelings about this now, and my emotions, and why I do it, and why I'm so passionate about it. It has been life-changing for me. And I know a lot of you in the comments are saying that it's something you want to do. We all have different reasons for doing it, and you do get out of it what you put into it. Oh, something just landed on the roof. So yeah, hopefully it's everything that you hope it is. It does depend why you do it. Everyone's why is different. That is my why, and that is why I'm still doing it now. All right, we'll see you on the next one.